Hey, what is up, guys? This is another Guild Wars 2 PvP class guide. So our first one was on the Mesmer. We're gonna try and cover all 7 before Revenant comes out, and I'll get into some. Just a quick thing I want to say is I'm gonna do maybe a thief specialization video when the beta weekend comes out on the 4th to the 6th, and I've already pre-crafted a thief daredevil build, but I'm gonna play around with that later. So I wanted to get the Thief class guide done. So Thief is can be played in basically only one way, as a single target bursting, great at roaming and +1ing fights. There was a post on the Thief forums the other day saying, "Oh, +1 is not a role, it's a limitation. +1 is not a role." But I have something to tell you, it actually is a role. So +1ing fights is very important. Thief has access to high mobility, high gap closes, and yeah, just a lot of mobility and the ability to get from point A to B to C very quickly. This means that they can help out the team with it. So let's say there's a Guardian and a Ellie fighting on point A and you're at point B. You can see this happening either by pinging it or looking at your map, and you can quickly get over to that point, +1 the fight. So you go there and help the fight, end it quickly by either getting some Shadow Shot, Heartseeker, or steals off, and then you've won that fight, and then you can head back to mid. So with Thief, it's very important to have strong map presence and to map pressure. So it's very bad to stay on a point, very bad to... Well, it's not very bad to cap points, but you shouldn't really waste time capping points. You should focus more of your time on being at the fights rather than away on a point by yourself. If you have to get a point so the enemy team doesn't get it, you can decap it and not fully cap it, so only stay on it for about 4 seconds until it's decapped, and then head back into the fight. So with Thief, I'll go through all the weapons and what they do and some roles for them, like I did on the Mesmer, after I killed this enemy thief because I don't like other thieves. Backstab. Okay, I'll hop down here. So Thief, as I said before, very strong at spiking targets down and getting massive numbers off and having high survivability and evades. So the Thief class has very easily accessible stealth. That's why they can kind of go in and out of fights and burst down targets very easily. So on every single Thief weapon set, on the number 1 skill, at the bottom of the screen there, it says Stealth Attack Backstab, or Backstab Stealth Attack. So that means while you're in stealth, the stealth attack activates. I'll show you here. So while I'm in stealth now, I'm on the stealth attack. When I'm out of stealth, that goes away. So every weapon set has that, and each stealth attack is like a lot better than the auto attack, and it usually does something a bit special. So our Dagger special attack, which nearly every thief runs Dagger, even if you're on a condition build, or only conditioned build thief doesn't run Dagger, but pretty much every thief build runs Dagger. So the Dagger stealth attack is a backstab. It does double damage to the back, and the front is still quite high damage. So the front damage can crit to about 4k, the back damage can crit to about 8k or 10k, depending on how squishy the target is. So this is your big source of burst. As you saw, I did it on the thief up there. You want to try and get into stealth, and then go behind your target and press 1 for a big backstab burst. So number 2 on thief is called Heartseeker on your Dagger. This is a Dagger pistol weapon set, by the way, so pistol offhand, Dagger main hand. So number 2 is Heartseeker. A lot of new thieves, or people who are new to the game, just assume that every thief just spams Heartseeker, and a lot of new thieves actually do this. So whenever someone's below 50%, a lot of thieves just spam Heartseeker. This is actually very bad. It can be easily kited or moved away from or dodged, and it's just a very noobish tactic. Heartseeker is okay to spam if someone is below 25% health, although you could probably get them down easier with other methods. I'm not promoting this, but if you're going to spam anything, spam Shadow Shot for the gap closer and big burst it has, and blind. And only use Heartseeker to finish people off. Then I'll go into the weapon skills actually. So Thief has a cool mechanic where your main hand and offhand weapon alter the number 3 skill. So this is called a dual wield skill, I believe. Yeah, a dual wield skill. So all your dual wield skills get altered by the weapon you have in your offhand. For example, if you have a sword main hand and a pistol offhand, you get a dual wield skill called Pistol Whip. So I'll go through sword after. So if you have a dagger main hand and a pistol offhand, you get a skill called Shadow Shot, which is a 900 range gap closer, which is unblockable, deals damage, and blinds. So from about this far away, you can use Shadow Shot to get to your targets, get a blind off on them, and a quick burst. And then, with a dagger offhand, you get a skill called Death Blossom, which is quite strong for condition builds, but very weak for other builds, equipping offhand. So the dagger offhand skills are also here. So Dancing Dagger, this chucks a dagger, deals damage and cripples. It's just your form of getting closer to the enemy because they'll be crippled, and it's a kind of ranged harassment skill. Then Cloak and Dagger is a very strong skill. You can use Cloak and Dagger and then follow it up with your stealth skill auto attack called Backstab. So Cloak and Dagger Backstab combo, I'll show that off here. Yeah, so that's a very well-known thief burst with DD. So this is called DD Thief because we run 2 daggers. So Death Blossom just spins over. It's a whirl finisher, and it just applies 3 stacks of bleed and evades for a little bit. It's very strong in condition builds, but very bad in power builds. You only run DD in a power build for the Cloak and Dagger Backstab combo. Cloak and Dagger is also a free disengage. You can use it on things like Mesmer Clones, Ranger Pets, Guardian Necromancer Minions, and the Guardian Spirit Weapons, so just for the free stealth. But if you can, try and just get a Steel, Cloak and Dagger, Backstab combo, and that bursts down targets very quickly, as you saw there. So that's the dagger weapon set. So I'll get to the sword weapon set now. I have bolt, so it's really fun. So with sword dagger offhand, the auto attack on sword is massive damage, and the last one is weakness and cripple. So that helps to keep up to your targets and apply a bit of condition pressure to them. The sword auto attack also cleaves 3 people, so it's good for downed pressure. The sword 2 is really fun. It's a massive gap closer, and when you actually get to a target, when you actually hit a target with it, it immobilizes them, which enables you to get 2 auto attacks off, and then you can kind of go back. You can go back. So this Infiltrator Strike enables you to jump, and then you can go back to where your original location was and cure a condition, making it very strong to engage and disengage very quickly. And the 2 dagger skills are the same because we run sword dagger. The number 3 is an evade, which is very strong. Most SD thieves that are new to the sword dagger build spam 3 because they think it's very good. Yeah, but it's really not. It just makes you very predictable and easy to get bursted down. But the flanking strike, when you hit it, when you actually land the skill, you gain access to a second skill called Larcenous Strike, which just steals a boon from your foe, and it's unblockable and does high damage. So a quick tip here, I don't really want this to be very well known, but oh well, it's in my video. So it's maybe a bug, maybe not, but it's been in the game for pretty much forever. When you jump and use 2 at the same time, so if you want to get closer to the light target, however, for example, if we're all the way back here, and we can use 2, and then use 2 again, but we'll go back so we gain to no ground. However, if you use 2 and jump at the same time, and activate 2 again, we don't go back. Same thing again. Same thing again. And then when we're finally close enough, we can actually use the 2. So that's very great for gap closing and getting to points very quickly if you have a target that is on the point. And yeah, so that's probably the best thief tip you should all know. It takes a bit of practice to get used to time the jump right, but once you have it down pat, it's all good. So sword pistol offhand. So once again, the 2 auto attack skills are the same, and these pistol skills are the same as before. So headshot is a daze. It's a 1/4 second daze. That's not what it's used for, however. It's used as an interrupt. And black powder is a smoke field, which blinds. So you can use it on a downed target like an elementalist to avoid the massive pressure they put up while they're downed. a Guardian to avoid their knockback, a Warrior to avoid their knockdown, an Engineer to avoid the pull, a Thief to avoid the pressure, and yeah, so it's really good on down targets. It's good when initiating a fight because it acts as a smoke finisher. So you can quickly place black powder down, switch to shortbow, and spam shortbow too. And this will give you access to 3 blasts, which give you 6 seconds of stealth. Great for initiating a fight, as your whole team will go into stealth. Black powder also with blinding powder will gain you 6 seconds of stealth because it's a blast finisher, and this gives you stealth alone, blinding powder. So it's quite a strong thief skill. Also, if you're versing slow hitting targets like a hammer warrior or a hammer guardian, you can drop this to pretty much negate all their attacks. The number 3 skill is pistol whip. It's a fast hitting skill that stuns the target and evades while you're in the animation. It's very strong for bursting down multiple targets and cleaving. You can, for example, you can infiltrate a strike to immobilize, and then instantly follow up with pistol whip because they can't dodge and then they get stunned and bursted down. So I'll get on to the pistol skills, although most pistol skills are used for condition builds. So this pistol can be used for power builds, but however, so pistol auto attack bleeds and does low damage. The stealth attack does high bleeds and high hits 5 times. Also, I forgot to mention this, but the sword auto attack, when you hit them from behind, it stuns them. When you hit them from the front, it does a daze, I believe. It's just an interrupt, pretty much. The pistol 2 is an immobilize, helps you set up your unload, but it's similar to the sword 2 immobilize, and unload is just a big burst skill that can be used for ranged pressure. So if you manage to have a target immobilized and then you can unload on them, you can actually get some nice damage off on them, like that. Then pistol dagger offhand leaves you with the same 2 skills at the start. The number 3 skill is great for condition builds. It applies 2 stacks of torment, and you stab them, you leap away, and you shoot your target. The shot damage actually is quite high. You can crit up to 4k with this skill. Where is it? I'll try and get it off here. You can steal and shadow strike, and that is actually quite high damage, and you don't actually lose any ground. You actually stay in your spot if you can get it off fast enough. You can also cloak and dagger for the stealth attack here. Yeah, so we got a free stealth attack off there, and then we can be far away from our target, cast shadow strike, steal, and then instantly go back to that position. So all I did there was cast shadow strike preemptively, steal, and then I went boom boom instantly back and did quite high burst. Did I miss anything weapon wise? No, I did not. So those are the thief weapons. I'll go over shortbow. Actually, I missed shortbow. So shortbow auto attack is great for range pressure. The stealth skill does immobilize, which helps set up for your allies burst, or helps you get a cluster bomb off. Cluster bomb is a long, slow traveling skill which does high damage and is great for harassing points. Disabling shot is a half-second evade, making it very and a low initiative cost, making it spammable, and helps you get away / like just evade lots of skills if you are good at timing it. It takes a lot of practice though, so if you see an Earthshaker coming, for example, just evade away. A kill shot, a Mesmer Mirror Blade, just things like that you need to look out for. Choking gas applies poison, so this is great for applying pressure to a point so people can't heal back up in the middle of fights, and applying pressure on downed people so they can't get rezzed quickly, and it does AoE weakness when you blast it. The Infiltrator's Arrow is a 900 range blink that applies blindness. You don't really use it for the blindness, but it's great for mobility, getting around points, and there's some really cool blink spots on certain maps, which I try to show off in my videos. The Thief's Steel, a 1200 range gap closer. I have all the buffs for steel right now, so it deals damage, steals boons, applies poison, dazes, gives you those 4 boons, gives you 2 initiative, and the 4 boons are to all those targets, or to 5 allied targets, by the way, so your whole team. And then let's cloak and dagger. and he's dead. I didn't know the Shadow Strike shot dealt high damage, actually. But anyway, the most common thief build is a DP thief, so that means dagger pistol thief, because you have access to Shadow Shot, which is a massive gap close and burst, like I said before. And if you use Black Powder and Heartseeker, you gain access to stealth, and you can do it again. If you're skilled enough, you can get it 4 times. I just got it 3 times there. And this gives you the ability to get in and out of fights and kind of reset the fight whenever you please, making it a very strong dueler slash roaming build and 1v1ing. Don't waste your steel. Try and bait their dodge to make sure you land the steel, otherwise you don't get a lot of the effects that you come from it. Although it only has a 20-second cooldown, it's still very important. And you can spam Shadow Shot whenever you please if you're not too confident and you want to try and stick on your target. Also, always call targets, Control T to call a target, and just try and stick on them and get them down. Whenever you see a lot of people on a fight and you don't want to really go into the point, you can pressure with a short bow. Short bow is run in nearly every thief build, and then you run a different weapon set like Dagger or Dagger Pistol. And yeah, so that's pretty much thief. Most thieves run Marauder or Berserker Amulet. If you're running a condition build, you'd run the Carrion Amulet. For Thief, Vampirism Rune is quite strong because it gives us access to a mist form when we're below 20%, which gives us pretty much a free disengage, which can be followed up with a stealth, or something like a Shadow Refuge. You can also run Pack Rune for the massive stats it gives you here. So yeah, it gives you high 175 power, 125 precision, and Might Fury Swiftness. You run air and fire whenever you run a Berserker build because of the massive burst it gives you. It just gives you pretty much an extra 2k damage every so often. So some other combos you can do apart from Black Powder Heartseeker is Heartseeker Steel, which is high burst, and then you can just follow up with more Heartseekers or a Shadow Shot. There's quite a few cool things you can do. So if you're in stealth, you can Shadow Shot to a target and press 1 while the Shadow Shot is traveling through the air, and cast your backstab, and then the Shadow Shot will hit and you'll backstab. I'll show that off here. Yeah, so I think I stuffed it up there. It's very hard to do. You can place Black Powder down Heartseeker and then backstab because you'll be in stealth. I want to really show off the backstab steel thing. Anyway, I'll try and show that off anyway. But you can do that. So you can also Shadow Step, backstab, Shadow Step away, and then maybe Shadow Shot back in. Yeah, just try and get in and out. A thief skill that everyone will run is Shadow Step because it breaks stun. It's that 1200 range blink, helps you get around points. It removes 3 conditions when you go back, and also breaks stun again. So it's double stun breaker, a condition clear, and a massive long range blink. Shadow Refuge is the big house that the thieves drop. Gives stealth to everyone in it and regenerates health. If you leave the Shadow Refuge prematurely, you get revealed. So a lot of people will try and knock you out of it with CC skills. So try and evade when you're in your Shadow Refuge. Then Blinding Powder is a stealth blind and blast. It's great if you're in a bit of a sticky situation. You can Black Powder, Blinding Powder, and then quickly get away. However, if you want, you can run any of these 3 signets depending on your personal preference. The power and precision ones are for damage. The Infiltrators one is for a stun break and a mobility gain. It just gains mobility. And this one's quite bad. We don't need the movement speed on a thief. Basilisk Venom is a really great utility skill. It turns someone to stone for 1 second, which means they're basically just stunned. They can't move, can't do anything. And it just helps you set up your burst. Great to use at the start of fights, or during the middle of fights when people are unsuspecting it. So you can go into stealth, cast Basilisk Venom, and then reopen on a foe. Hey, so this is the part 2 of the thief video. I'm going to cut this in here pretty badly probably, but oh well. So, how to deal with other classes on thieves. So, in this current meta with your DP thief build, you shouldn't really have many problems dealing with other classes. Although some people might say that thief has troubles with Ellies, for example. But if you know how to rotate your skills properly, don't spam your skills, don't be predictable, go in and out of stealth and burst people down. You can win most of your fights. So against Engineer, I'm going to go through all the classes and then go to Ranger last, like in the Mesmer video, because Ranger's not a bot here. So against Engineer, you need quite a few things you need to watch out for, is the immobilize that they put out and the jump shot. You can either blind, dodge, or interrupt it. You can go in and out of stealth with Engineers quite easily because they don't really have any way deal with you. And then watch out for their gear shield block, watch out for their overcharge shot. Basically, whenever they're in rifle, you need to be a bit worried. If they switch to toolkit, watch out for the big line that comes towards you, meaning they're going to pull you into them. Yeah, you don't really need to watch out for their elixirs, you just need to watch out for the bursts they put on you. If you're faced with heavy condition pressure, don't be afraid to use Shadow Step for the condition removal. Using short bow against Engineers is also very strong for the ability to kite them and evade their skills very easily. I'll try and evade most of them here. I stuffed that one up, but yeah. I'll try and evade most of them, so I evaded half of that. The Engineer's in the ground. Okay. Yeah, so that Engineer is pretty easy to deal with on a Thief, unless they're very tanky, which means you can just pressure them down and eventually win the fight, because they won't do much to you. Against, I'll go on to Mesmer here. Against a Mesmer, you really need to watch out for the Mirror Blade Shatter combo that they do. You want to watch out for interrupts as well, so don't always spam your auto attack on a Mesmer. Try and go in and out of stealth for the bursts, like so. And then get a backstab off. And yeah, so you want to watch out for the interrupts and the Mirror Blade Burst combo, because if you get hit by that, you're done. Try and dodge the Greatsword 4 Phantasm. You can ignore their illusions, get free stealth off their illusions if you're on DD Thief. But apart from that, try and burst them down through Basilisk Venom, Steel, and just your Thief combos that you can do. But really watch out for whenever they're in Greatsword, you're basically vulnerable. You could switch to shortbow or go into stealth and then burst them down, or evade / range pressure them. Against Guardians, most Guardians run Burn Guard now, so since we only have access to one condition clear, which is Shadow Step, you really want to play passively and evade their skills. Go into stealth, burst them down so they can't hit you. If you get hit by massive burns, you're going to have to waste Shadow Step there. And against a Mediguard, you can just... Mediguard used to be a massive heavy counter to Thief, but now it can be dealt with. You just need to interrupt them, blind them, and do your stealth backstabs. To stomp a Guardian, you can use Shadow Step away, and right at the last second Shadow Step back. That's a quick tip there. So, yeah, against Conditioned Guardian, you really need to be careful for their big burst on you. There's nothing you can really do about it apart from stealth and evade. If you're 1v1ing a Conditioned Guardian, you definitely want to take the Shadow Arts tree over the Crit Strikes tree, so you lose a bit of damage, but you gain access to easy condition removal. Against a Necromancer, most Necros run Selly Signet or Power Necro now. Not many people run Power Necro anymore, but Selly Signet. So to take a Necromancer down that's running Celestial Signet, you'll need more than just yourself. So if you see them on a point that you're going to, and it's just you alone, you might want to leave that fight, because it's not very easily winnable. It will take a long time, and it's just a waste of your time. You could be helping in other places. But you just want to watch out for their hard-hitting skills. You want to stay out of their wells, dodge their staff skills, just make it hard for them to hit you, move around, annoy them, interrupt their big hitting skills. If they're in Lich, you want to stealth definitely, because that will hit you very hard. Oh, we went into Mistform there. Cool. Wow, we almost died. But yeah, so if they're running Celestial Signet, they'll most likely be running Plague. If that happens, range pressure them. If they're running Dagger, you can range pressure them. If they're running Staff, you can rush up to them and burst them, because they have no access to any invulnerabilities or defensive skills on the Staff apart from the Fear. But you can, when you're on a Necromancer in melee range, you want to dodge around them a lot and try and piss them off. Against I'll go over to the Ellie now. Against an Elementalist, DD Ellie, it's a very hard matchup. You're going to win the matchup through your Shadow Shots and Heart Seekers. So you're going to win the matchup definitely once they're below 50%, but until then you're going to have to pressure them with auto attacks, get up in their face, burst them down. Just don't be predictable, and win with your use of shadow shots and your ability to be very sticky and be on them all the time. While they're in water form, you want to try and get some interrupts off. Maybe don't really use black powder Heartseeker unless they go into fire form and they're coming really hard at you. Against an SF Ellie, you can very easily just burst them down before they burst you. If you get CC'd, you'll have to waste Shadow Step. When you start the fight, try and use Basilisk Venom, so an SF Ellie is just the full Berserker Ellie build that bursts you down. I'll try and kill the Ellie really fast here. Heartseeker can also be used for mobility in fights, but Shadow Shot's just a lot better, because it blinds them as well. If Shadow Shot didn't blind, it would be quite bad, to be honest. Not bad, but it wouldn't be as good as it is. Against warriors, you're going to have to watch out for their big hard-hitting skills. You're going to to beat a warrior, you pretty much have to play a warrior. So against great hammer warriors, you want to look out for the Earthshaker, of course. You want to blind them so they don't hit all their skills on you. You want to maybe drop 2 blind fields even. You want to get interrupts off. And you got to evade everything pretty much. See, like I did there, didn't get hit once. And go for your stealth backstab combos as well. So yeah, you've just got to know against a Greatsword warrior, you want to really watch out for the Greatsword 3 and Greatsword 5. 100 blades can be easily just moved out of. If anyone stands in 100 blades, they're just bad and they deserve to die. But you want to really watch out if they rush up to you. You want to dodge that always, so the rush is the big charge skill, and they'll most likely follow up with Greatsword 3, so you want to either blink away, or use your heal skill, shadow step, or just dodge into them. So most thieves dodge away from them, and then they'll still be hit by the rush 2 or 3 times, but if you dodge into the warrior, their rush will go nowhere unless they rush backwards, but you can drop a blind field on you, so you'll only be hit once. So if they're on your face, the rush will be guaranteed hit, so it's better to be hit the least amount of times possible. Against sword Warhorn warriors, you can just really kite them and burst them down. They have no defensive ability, they're just very tanky. You need to focus them down with your team, help your team set up their burst and your own burst. And yeah. Against a thief, a fellow thief, you want to play very stealthily. Like, you don't want to... you really want to use your shadow shots to your advantage to stick onto them. You want to play very stealthily and use just whoever bursts them down quicker first. Get some good combos off. Evade their steals if you can. Try and get your backstabs off in stealth. If they drop a Shadow Refuge first, you pretty much win the fight because you have access to longer Shadow Refuge. And utilize your Basilisk Venom very well as well. So that's everything except Ranger. Against a Ranger, so against a condition trap Ranger, you want to stay in longbow primarily until they send their pet after you, so try and kite around so the pet isn't on you, so the pet will then run here. So imagine there's a Ranger standing there, and we're here. We can range pressure him, he can range pressure us, we can dodge his pew pew, his pet comes after us, we kite, we continue to range pressure him, his pet will come after us again, we'll kite back, and then once he's about 60%, you can do a Heartseeker Steel combo, so the Steel will get him to 50, and with the Heartseeker will just do massive pressure to him. Then you can follow up with maybe a Withdraw because you'll be a bit low yourself, and then a Black Powder Heartseeker combo, and then just follow up with a quick backstab on the Ranger. So with the Ranger, you don't want to let their pets really come to you because their pets can apply that taunt thing, which is really annoying, and if they taunt pew pew you, you're pretty much dead. You want to try and line of sight the Ranger as well, and then go into stealth and kill them. That's a very good tip against Rangers that no one really told me when I started off as well. And yeah, so against pew pew Rangers, just try and line of sight and stealth backstab. When they use their Signet, you want to go into stealth, wait for that to come off cooldown, then reinitiate the fight. You can 1v1 Rangers very easily, so all you have to do is watch out for the pew pew. You can 1v1 thieves easily if you do what I said. Warriors relatively easily if you dodge the greatsword skills. Mesmers very easily. Engineers can be taken out easily if they're not soldier rifle. Ellie is very hard to match up. Guardian is an easy matchup if they mess up their rotation or you dodge their burn. And yeah, that's about it. So yeah, I'm gonna have to cut this in because I forgot to talk about how to deal with other classes in the video. And hope you guys enjoy it. Check out my other videos and remember, subscribe for more.